Hello, you're watching News 9 Live. A head constable from the BSF identified as Lal Farnikima has been killed in a fresh firing by the Pakistan Rangers along the international border in Sambha district of Jammu and Kashmir. The critically injured Jawan was immediately evacuated to Community Health Centre Hospital at Ramgarh. He was referred to the Government Medical College Hospital in Jammu. However, unfortunately, he later succumbed to injuries on his way to Jammu, according to reports coming in. The BSF said that the Pakistan Rangers resorted to unprovoked firing targeting its forward post in the Ramgarh sector of the IB at about 12:20 am on Thursday. At about 12:20 am, Pakistan Rangers started firing at Narayanpur post in Ramgarh, that is Sambha, without any provocation. The BSF retaliated using the same caliber weapons, it said. Tensions continue to persist in the area. Those are the visuals that are coming in. This Pakistan Rangers, according to the BSF, started firing at Narayanpur post in Ramgarh, that is Sambha, without any provocation, killing one Jawan. It happened at around 12:20 am on Thursday. It was the BSF, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, said that the Pakistan Rangers resorted to unprovoked firing targeting its forward post in the Ramgarh sector of the international border. Lal Farnikima, who was a head constable with the BSF, lost his life. He was brought injured to the hospital, but unfortunately, he succumbed to injuries. A joint operation was launched by the Indian Army and Jammu Kashmir Police at Kathohalan, Shopian. Security forces killed a terrorist connected to terror group the Resistance Front, which is TRF, a branch of Lashkar-e-Taiba. The terrorist's identity has not yet been made public pending additional investigation. According to authorities, weapons and ammunition that may be used as evidence were found at the scene of the incident. The operation is still ongoing as security personnel are searching the area to make sure there are no further threats whatsoever. And in some more news, the Supreme Court, which was expected to give its verdict on the lifetime ban on MPs and MLAs convicted in criminal case, the Apex Court has left it to the High Court to evolve measures for effective monitoring of such cases. Supreme Court said that it would be difficult for it to lay down uniform guidelines. The Supreme Court has also asked the High Court to register suo motu case for effective monitoring and disposal of cases involving MPs or MLAs. The Apex Court's observations came on a writ petition filed by Advocate Ashwini Kumar Upadhyay in the year 2016, seeking a lifetime ban on legislators who are convicted in a criminal case. The petitioner pointed out that bureaucrats and judicial officers who are convicted are debarred from holding offices ever again, but a different set of rules were applied for MPs and MLAs who were in a similar situation. News coming in from Tamil Nadu. The DMK Organizing Secretary R.S. Bharati's comments on the culinary habits of the people of Nagaland has created a political storm not only in Tamil Nadu but across the country. The governor, in a statement issued from Raj Bhavan, criticized Bharati for the statement. During an event organized as part of the Kalaignar centenary celebrations, Bharati said Governor R.N. Ravi had been acting to cause trouble to the ruling DMK government and was purposefully not providing assent to the bills adopted in the Legislative Assembly. Bharati also said that the people of Nagaland had chased R.N. Ravi from the state, and while referring to the people of Nagaland, he called them as dog meat eaters. on your screens right now the quote of R.S. Bharati, where he says, "Do you know what happened to him?" meaning R.N. Ravi in Nagaland. They drove him away from there. Do not mistake me, I am saying this as an example. People of Nagaland eat dog meat. If those who eat dog meat can be so sensitive that they chased away the governor, imagine how sensitive the people of Tamil Nadu are who eat rice with salt would be. Ravi should not forget that. Tamil Nadu BJP President K. Annamale criticized Bharati for the statement.
DMK and its office bearers continuously abusing governor, and now their abuse has gone one step further. The whole northeastern brothers and sisters are being abused by a senior party functionary of DMK, Mr. R.S. Bharati. And he has called our brave Naga people. Naga people have a very unique tradition. They are India's pride, they are our country's pride. And for people who don't know much about Nagaland and its culture, the very beautiful culture, I am willing to put 50 tickets to DMK. And whoever from DMK is willing to go to Nagaland, see their beautiful culture, Tamil Nadu BJP will sponsor 50 tickets to anybody from DMK. Because you call the brave Naga people as dog eater. That is an insult to the whole of India, insult to the whole of our countrymen. We can't take this any further. You call Naga people as dog eater who don't have any sense of respect. That is what DMK is calling. That is why BJP Tamil Nadu, we are writing a letter to Mr. M.K. Stalin. Please give 50 names from your party. And all the 50 people will sponsor from Tamil Nadu BJP side. Let them go to Nagaland, see the beautiful culture and come back and make a comment. And you people don't even cross Tamil Nadu, you are within Tamil Nadu, you speak all kinds of nonsense. And without even knowing somebody's very unique culture, you want to question them. You want to call them by very bad names. The Honorable Governor is being continuously abused by DMK because the people of Tamil Nadu know DMK is very corrupt, the government is very corrupt. To sidestep all matters, they are shifting their radar on governor's side. Because they think attacking governor, people will forget the misgovernance of DMK. But sadly, for DMK, people are very clear what DMK is all about. 2024 elections will show that DMK has to be shown the door.
R.S. Bharati, however, later clarified, saying that he praised the people of Nagaland and did not belittle them. He also added that his speech was being misrepresented.
We have not insulted them. We have, in fact, we have spoken in praise of them. This is being misinterpreted. My full speech has been published in Hindu, in English Hindu and Tamil Dinamalar. They can read it and ascertain.
Moving on, the Lok Sabha Ethics Committee is expected to recommend the termination of Trinamool leader Mahua Moitra's parliament membership. The panel shall meet to consider and adopt its draft report on the cash for query charges levelled by BJP MP Nishikant Dubey against Moitra. The panel is probing Dubey's allegations that Moitra accepted gifts and favours for asking questions in the Lok Sabha at the behest of businessman Darshan Hiranandani. The draft report has taken a serious view of the allegations and found Moitra's acts objectionable, unethical as well as criminal. The committee was of the view that the Trinamool MP should be punished. The panel's recommendation shall be submitted to the Lok Sabha Speaker during the winter session of Parliament.
The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
It's been over a month since Hamas initiated a deadly war against southern Israel, resulting in the deaths of about 1,400 people and the abduction of over 220 Israelis as hostages. Since then, Israel has been conducting airstrikes and ground operations in Gaza. Let's take you through the latest updates on day 34. Open to comprehensive deal for hostage release, says the Hamas. That's a statement. No ceasefire before hostages are released, says Benjamin Netanyahu. War crimes committed by both Israel and Hamas, says UN rights chief. WHO warns of disease outbreak in Gaza. More than 10,500 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu once again rejected the prospect of a ceasefire in Gaza amid reports of negotiations for a temporary truce with Hamas. In a statement released on Thursday, the Israeli Prime Minister made his position clear, saying, and I quote him, "There will be no ceasefire, no fuel delivery for Gaza without the release of our hostages." In a televised address marking 1-month anniversary of Israel's war with Hamas, Benjamin Netanyahu also issued a stern warning to Iran-backed Hezbollah if it opens a new front in the conflict from its base in Lebanon. And speaking of Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu convened the War Management Cabinet in Jerusalem. Among the prominent participants in the gathering were M.K. Aryeh Deri, the head of the Mossad, and Shin Bet, the head of the Himlal, Knesset member Gadi Eisenkot, and Minister Benny Gantz. The visual on your screen are coming from the War Cabinet in Tel Aviv, which was of course convened by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The Israeli Prime Minister met with Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte on Wednesday, that is 8th of November, at his office in Jerusalem. According to Israel government's press release, Netanyahu thanked him for his friendship and support that is helping Israel during the time of a conflict. This is the second visit for Rutte to Israel since the Israel-Hamas war began. Concluding a 2-day meeting in Tokyo, Antony Blinken stated that there is a potential for a transitional phase regarding post-conflict governance in Gaza. He emphasized that Hamas cannot continue to govern Gaza and Israel cannot maintain its occupation of the territory. Listen in.
We had in-depth discussions about the steps that we are taking to address urgent needs on the ground. We all agreed that humanitarian pauses would advance key objectives: to protect Palestinian civilians, to increase the sustained flow of humanitarian assistance, to allow our citizens and foreign nationals to exit, and to facilitate the release of hostages. When it comes to post-conflict governance in Gaza, a few things are clear and necessary. One, Gaza cannot be continue to be run by Hamas. That simply invites a repetition of October 7th, and Gaza used as a place from which to launch terrorist attacks. It's also clear that Israel cannot occupy Gaza. What I've heard from Israeli leaders is that they have no intent to reoccupy Gaza and retake control of Gaza. So the only question is there some transition period that might be necessary, and what might be the mechanisms that you could put in place for that to make sure that there is security.
The Californian police announced they have a suspect in the death of a Jewish man. He tragically fell and struck his head during a confrontation between pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian protesters. The local community has come together to mourn the loss. Take a look.
as members of a California community gathered on Tuesday to remember a Jewish man who died after an altercation at dueling pro-Israel and Palestinian protests on the weekend, police say they have a suspect. Paul Kessler fell and hit his head, but was still conscious when police arrived at the scene in Thousand Oaks, not far from Los Angeles, on Sunday. That's according to Ventura County Sheriff Jim Freihoff, who said the 69-year-old died hours later in hospital of blunt force head trauma. That makes the case a homicide, but officials stressed it merely means that another person was involved and does not indicate if anything criminal took place. At a news conference, the sheriff said police don't know how Kessler fell yet.
These witnesses providing conflicting statements about what the altercation and who the aggressor was. Some of the witnesses were pro-Palestine, while others were pro-Israel. During the investigation at the scene, deputies determined that the altercation with Mr. Kessler, he fell backward and struck his head on the ground. What exactly transpired prior to Mr. Kessler falling backward isn't crystal clear right now.
Freihoff declined to name the suspect, who was not under arrest on Tuesday, but said he was one of the people who called 911 and stayed behind to speak with investigators. Officers are calling for videos and photos of the incident to help with the investigation. A local rabbi said he spoke to Kessler's widow, who was in shock.
What I know from Paul was that he was a very proud Jew and one who loved Israel very, very much. And unfortunately and tragically, lost his life. May his memory be a blessing for all of us.
While a local imam expressed his condolences.
That is very tragic, and our community, by the way, offers our deepest condolences and sincere condolences to the Kessler family.
Some residents said they're worried about escalating violence.
A lot of people last night were like, what is this going to start?
It comes as emotions run high in the United States over the Israel-Hamas war, with officials and civil rights groups warning of increased threats against Jewish, Muslim and Arab communities in the U.S. since early October. The Ventura County Sheriff said since Kessler's death, his deputies have increased patrols around synagogues and mosques.
Airstrikes on the Gaza Strip killed a Hamas weapons maker and several fighters. 2 separate strikes eliminated a leading Hamas armorer, Mahsin Abu Zina, and fighters engaged in anti-tank or ground-to-ground rocket fire. The IDF has been looking to reduce its tank losses in the Gaza war and has been targeting Hamas anti-tank forces on the ground. In some other news, families of hostages and victims of the 7th October massacre by Hamas terrorists recall their last moments with their loved ones who were caught in the violence as it unfolded across towns in Israel. Families recall last moments with loved ones after the Hamas attack. Listen in.
Outside, and everyone immediately pushed back inside and 2 grenades exploded. We couldn't breathe. They then walked in and began to fire what sounded like a million bullets. One hits my leg. I whisper, "Abba, I'm shot." He didn't reply. I went numb. I knew that he had passed away. 40 entered the Megunit that morning. 7 hours later, only 9 of us made it out. 7 of my family members went to the Nova Peace Festival. Only 3 of us are still breathing today. They murdered everybody. My Abba, Avi Sassi, he loved life and people of all ages and nationalities.
Tell us who she is and what happened on October 7th.
And she was keep screaming and shouting, and I'm going to die. I'm going to die today. And we were comforting her that no way she's going to die today. And the conversation was for 45 minutes. And then slowly, Romy didn't answer to any of our requests. The next thing we heard was somebody speaking in Arabic on the phone. And then the phone went dead. 2 days later, we translated what was said in Arabic, and it was basically She's alive. Let's take her.
Yemen's Houthi rebels claimed that they shot down an American MQ-9 Reaper drone. A senior U.S. defense official also confirmed this loss of a drone. The Houthis claimed that the MQ-9 was conducting surveillance as part of U.S. support for Israel in its conflict with Hamas. The Pentagon confirmed that MQ-9 drones were flown over Gaza to gather intelligence for hostage recovery efforts. The confirmation comes after reporters spotted MQ-9 Reapers, usually operated by American Special Forces, circling Gaza. According to reports, at least 6 drones are being used for surveillance, and their flight paths show they have focused mainly on southern Gaza. The MQ-9 Reaper drone, also known as Predator B, is an unmanned aerial vehicle, that is a UAV, developed by General Atomics Aeronautical System 1. It is designed for remote or autonomous flight operations and is primarily used by the United States Air Force or USAF for intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance. Missions 1. The MQ-9 Reaper is larger, more capable and carries 15 times more payload than its predecessor, the MQ-1 Predator 1. It is almost 3 times faster than the MQ-1 Predator 2. The MQ-9 Reaper has a 950 shaft horsepower turboprop engine which allows it to cruise at high altitudes for long periods of time. Moving on, the Sudan crisis seems to have taken a turn for the worse. Sudanese refugees fleeing to Chad have reported a new surge in ethnically driven killings in Sudan's West Darfur, as the paramilitary rapid support forces have taken over the main army base in the state capital. Sudan is one of the poorest countries in the world and was already in a crisis before the Darfur fighting began in April of 2023. The clashes took place between SAF and RSF in Sudan. This war in Sudan has caused a major humanitarian crisis and has displaced more than 6 million people and killed over 9,000 as per reports. The U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, or DFC, said it shall provide $553 million financing for a Colombo port terminal project partly owned by the India's Adani Group, advancing the first foray by an Indian company into the sector. Sri Lanka, an island off India's southern coast, is mired in its worst financial crisis in over 7 decades after its foreign exchange reserves ran to record lows last year, forcing its economy to contract by 7.8% in the year 2022. Let's listen in to some important voices.
A project that creates jobs for local communities, a project that supports economic growth at a time of high need for economic growth, a project that makes a difference for the national economy and truly for the international economy by having more capacity for deep water transshipment, the realities in this region, and for global trade, make this a critical addition to our global.
This magnitude of an investment and the transformation gives a very, very positive signal to the world that Sri Lanka is ready for investment, Sri Lanka is ready for transformation, and Sri Lanka has a lot of potential. As a leader in the region and a logistic hub and a partner who works with everyone in the world, we take a lot of pride in doing that, for being a part of our progress. Thank you.
Italy's government is hailing a historic plan to send seaborne migrants to Albania under a deal announced this week, which will allow Italy to build 1 migrant reception center and 1 detention camp in the country. According to official documents which were seen on Wednesday, Albania will hold a maximum of 3,000 migrants at any one time. Take a look.
Italy's government is hailing a historic plan to send seaborne migrants to Albania under a deal announced this week which will allow Italy to build one migrant reception center and one detention camp in the country. According to official documents seen on Wednesday, Albania will hold a maximum of 3,000 migrants at any one time. It's part of an EU drive to clamp down on irregular immigration and represents the first time a non-EU country is accepting migrants on behalf of an EU nation. More than 145,000 sea migrants have arrived in Italy so far this year.
In che cosa consiste l'accordo?
Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said as many as 36,000 migrants could pass through Albania camps each year, but that depends on how quickly Italy can process asylum cases. Meloni said the aim is to examine cases within 28 days, but experts say red tape might get in the way, and lengthy procedures could place an unjustified burden on the migrants. Experts also noted that repatriating failed applicants is hard, given the lack of return deals with migrants' home nations. Amnesty International's Serena Chiodo said the Italy-Albania deal violates migrants' rights.
The automatic detention of persons is forbidden by international law. And to bring people from Italian ships directly to Albanian territory, to detain them in closed facilities, would be an application of the violation of automatic detention. And this worries us greatly. We expect this agreement to be cancelled.
The camps will operate under Italian jurisdiction and should open in spring 2024. The protocol states that Italy will shield Albania from any cost from court action against the legally contentious plan.
British retailer Marks & Spencer reported a much better than expected 75% rise in the first half profit and restored its dividend, but cautioned the combination of high borrowing costs, erratic weather and geopolitical events may soon weigh on shoppers. Take a look.
Shares in Marks & Spencer, among Britain's best-known retailers, flew up over a tenth on Wednesday. Investors saw a much better than expected 75% rise in first-half profit and a return of their dividend. The firm reported $441.7 million in profit for the 6 months to September 30th, far higher than analysts projected. Revenue rose just over a tenth to $7.5 billion, with both food sales and clothing and home sales seeing big boosts. M&S said its trading momentum had been maintained through October and it was planning for a good Christmas. It sees full-year profit jumping 30% and now expects analyst forecasts for annual profit to rise to $785 million, well up from $704.1 million currently. But the retail giant also delivered a cautious outlook, suggesting the, quote, favourable recent market conditions might not persist. It warned high borrowing costs, erratic weather and geopolitical events could soon weigh on shoppers. M&S said it expected profit before tax and adjusting items to be weighted towards the first half.
Now, Baidu, which is the largest search engine in China, placed AI chip order from Huawei in shift away from NVIDIA chips. Sources say that there are signs that US pressure is prompting Chinese acceptance of the firm's products as an alternative to NVIDIA's. For more on this story, take a look at this report.
Chinese tech giant Baidu ordered artificial intelligence chips from Huawei this year in what could mark a significant industry shift away from supplier NVIDIA. That's how two sources who spoke to Reuters exclusively characterized the move, as it showed how U.S. pressure could lead some firms to find an alternative to America's top chip maker in the high-stakes AI race. One source said Baidu, which has become one of China's leading AI firms, placed the order in August ahead of new rules put in place in October by the U.S. government that tightened restrictions on chip exports to China, including those made by NVIDIA. The order was relatively tiny compared to what Chinese tech firms have historically ordered from NVIDIA.
with Huawei's chips still seen as far inferior to NVIDIA's in terms of performance. But they were the most sophisticated domestic option available in China, a source said. Baidu, along with Chinese peers Tencent and Alibaba, has been known to be a longtime client of NVIDIA. It was not previously known to be an AI chip customer of Huawei. Analysts predicted last month that the U.S. curbs would create an opening for Huawei to expand in its $7 billion home market. The company has been the subject of U.S. export controls since 2019. Baidu and Huawei did not respond to requests for comment. NVIDIA declined to comment.
Nintendo is diving headfirst into the world of live-action movies by announcing a new real-life adaptation of its popular Legend of Zelda video games. This move is part of Nintendo's strategy to expand beyond their primary gaming business and make the most of their iconic characters through theme parks and movies. Let's take a look.
Nintendo is diving headfirst into live-action movies with a new real-life adaptation of its popular Legend of Zelda games. The company announced the project on Wednesday as their latest push beyond their core gaming business, trading on their popular characters with theme parks and movies. It saw runaway success with the Super Mario Bros. Film in April. It was the highest-grossing box office of the year, up until Barbie, and underscored the appeal of Nintendo's franchises. Now, in adapting its other blockbuster series, Mario and Zelda creator Shigeru Miyamoto says he's working with veteran Hollywood producer Avi Arad. Miyamoto says the two have been working on a Zelda adaptation for many years, though Nintendo, in posts on social media, said the movie will take time. It's a good time to spin up hype for a Zelda movie. This summer saw the near 40-year-old series' latest installment, Tears of the Kingdom. Nintendo says it sold nearly 20 million units by the end of September. The company also said Wednesday it had already sold 4 million copies of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, the first new Mario game in a decade that plays in its classic side-scrolling style, in the 2 weeks after its October release. While gaming remains Nintendo's core profit driver, in the first half of the current financial year, sales more than doubled in its mobile and intellectual property-related business, like its Super Nintendo World parks in Hollywood and Japan.
In the coastal villages of Belgium, the centuries-old tradition of horseback shrimp fishing is facing a huge challenge, and the reason being climate change. Take a look.
The Prince has always had a very clear vision. The ideas exist. We just need to bring them to the world and bring them quickly. That's what Earthshot's all about.
Pollution, of course, is a very big problem, and it's faced not just in India but the world over. Heavy smog covered the streets of Lahore in Pakistan, prompting authorities to shut down schools and also markets in the country's most populous province. In Lahore, the air quality was extremely poor, and according to the Swiss group IQ Air, it ranked as the worst in the world with an air quality index of 432, which is considered hazardous. This was followed by Delhi with an AQI of 302 and Karachi, a port city in southern Pakistan, with an AQI of 204. The smog in Lahore severely reduced visibility on the roads, causing concern amongst residents. And at home, Delhi NCR region continues to choke with the air quality index in what is called the severe category. Compared to the last few days, the city's overall AQI has been recorded below 400, but the situation is still severe. In different parts of the NCR, AQI is beyond 400. Noida recorded an AQI of 461, whereas Gurugram recorded lightly less at 379. In response to the issue, the Delhi government has taken several measures. First, government has announced that all smog towers, which are devices designed to clean the air, will be operational by tomorrow. These towers are expected to help improve air quality. The Delhi government has also decided to grant an early winter break for all the schools starting 9th of November, going up to 18th to protect students from the toxic air. Additionally, the government is also considering the use of artificial rain as a method to combat pollution. This approach is being explored in collaboration with the Indian Institute of Technology or IIT Kanpur. IIT Kanpur has proposed the idea of artificial rain to cleanse the atmosphere of dust and major pollutants. IIT has also been working on the project since the year 2018 and also successfully executed a test in July this year. As per the project head, artificial rain could provide temporary relief for up to a week for residents. Manindra Agarwal, a professor in the Computer Science and Engineering Department at IIT Kanpur, is leading this project. Delhi government has shown keen interest, of course, in the project. However, artificial rain is heavily reliant on specific met conditions such as the presence of sufficiently moist clouds as well as compatible wind. So what exactly is cloud seeding and artificial rainfall? Remember, it is not an exact science yet and needs to undergo testing. So like I said, what exactly is cloud seeding? It's artificial method to increase rainfall. Chemicals released into sky to attract water vapor. Also chemicals like silver and potassium iodide released. Helps form rain clouds in about half an hour. Results in formation of large droplets causing rain. Now, what are the steps towards rain clouding? On your screens right now? Approval for aircraft to fly over the national capital. Approval from DGCA, MHA and SPG is also required. Specific meteorological conditions are also required. Presence of moisture-laden clouds and suitable wind patterns. Moving on, but staying on climate change and weather change and pollution across the world, a Beijing University study claims that Chinese weather authorities effectively managed the weather in advance of a significant political event. Earlier this year, tens of thousands of people attended a ceremony in Tiananmen Square on the 1st of July, the Chinese Communist Party's centennial celebration, according to a research paper from Tsinghua University. An extensive cloud seeding operation in the hours before the event ensured clear skies and low air pollution. The Chinese government has enthusiastically embraced cloud seeding technology, investing billions of dollars in attempts to control weather patterns to safeguard agriculture areas or enhance momentous occasions such as the 2008 Olympics. To meet the growing demand for fresh water in Saudi Arabia, authorities have launched a project that shall alter the structure of clouds to increase rainfall. An aircraft was deployed in the skies over the vast rocky plateau in the kingdom's central region, where it released plumes of silver iodide into the clouds. This caused ice crystals to form in the clouds, stimulating precipitation over targeted areas. Saudi Arabia is only the second nation in the Gulf region after the UAE to launch a cloud seeding program. Now, in coastal villages of Belgium, the centuries-old tradition of horseback shrimp fishing is facing a challenge due to climate change. Take a look at this report.
On Belgium's far western coast, traditional horseback fishers are seeing firsthand how climate change is altering the ecosystem of the North Sea. They report catching less shrimp, but more weaver fish and squid, traditionally found further south.
We have less shrimp catch than we used to, but we also have more weavers and animal species that you didn't see here before, which come from the Atlantic as the water warms up.
The coastal village of Oostduinkerke is the last place in the world where horseback shrimp fishing is still practiced. Fishermen like Gunther van Bleu ride horses through shallow waters. As the horse walks, the chain drags over the sand and creates vibration that causes the shrimp to jump into the net.
The best period to fish for shrimps used to be from September until December, when it starts to freeze. What we see now is that we get the best catches later in the season. I guess that there is a link with the climate change, because the water and the temperatures we live in have warmed up.
That rise in temperatures has disrupted traditional seasons for the small horseback fishing community. NASA says oceans have absorbed 90% of the global warming that humans have caused in the last few decades. In the North Sea, surface temperatures have increased by around 0.3 degrees Celsius every decade since 1991. And while shrimp populations fluctuate during short-term changes like heat waves, some species traditionally found further south have now moved north into Belgium's warming waters. Elias Emory is a marine ecology researcher at Ghent University.
So for some species we see higher abundances. For example, the weavers and the squid, like cuttlefish, they have been found to increase with the warmer water temperatures. For shrimp, we also see this trend, but these coincide with heat waves that have been observed to take place in the North Sea.
Other species have fared worse. North Sea cod populations, for example, have plummeted since the 1980s, which scientists attribute to rising sea temperatures and overfishing.
For me, this is quite alarming, because at this rate, we see that a lot of species cannot cope and either migrate or go extinct. And if species go extinct, our food web will be impacted, which has consequences for us.
A report on climate change claims that 2023 could become the hottest year on record due to unprecedented temperature anomalies. The report was published by the Copernicus Climate Change Service. Deputy Director of CCCS, Samantha Burgess, added that October 2023 has been identified as the warmest October globally. She emphasized the pressing need for urgent and immediate climate action leading up to COP28.
So October 2023 was the warmest October on record globally, with an average surface temperature of 15.3 degrees Celsius. What this means is this last month was 0.85 degrees Celsius above the recent average and 0.4 degrees Celsius above the previous warmest October. So the only time that we've ever had a bigger difference between the previous warmest month and the current one is last month in September. So October 2023 is almost as shocking as September 2023 was.
European astronomers unveiled the initial images from the newly launched Euclid Space Telescope. It's crafted to uncover the mysteries of dark matter and dark energy, which are believed to constitute a vast 95% of the universe. Here's a report.
These are the first images taken from the newly launched Euclid Space Telescope, a telescope that can monitor billions of galaxies up to 10 billion light-years away and is designed to unlock the secrets of dark matter and dark energy. The European Space Agency says these pictures of a nearby universe 240 million light-years away are the sharpest of their kind. The ESA is leading Euclid's 6-year mission with partner NASA. Here's their Director of Science, Carol Mundell.
It's going to survey 36% of the sky, which is the entire extragalactic sky, back to 10 billion years of cosmic history. It's got incredible precision for measuring the shapes of galaxies, so we understand the optics very well.
Euclid will now start to piece together a cosmic 3D map, seen here in this animation. Through it, scientists are hoping to better grasp the formation and distribution of galaxies across the universe, which in turn will help them get new insights into dark matter and dark energy, hidden forces thought to make up 95% of the universe.
There's just so much rich science and physics to be extracted from these images. And of course, the colors themselves tell us something about the physics encoded in the light too. So we've got lots of codes to decode as we work through this.
Although the mission is designed to last 6 years, ESA hopes Euclid has another 6 months of propellant to keep it in solar orbit some 930,000 miles away from Earth.
And that's all we have in this bulletin. For all the news and analysis, keep watching News 9 Live.